What's up, Philomania friends? Once again, it's me and all my monsters back with a brand new chapter of this channel where we explore the endless variety of knives that make up the universe. This time, I've got a fresh package that just landed straight from the United States. Interestingly, it arrived already as the factory box itself, no extra USPS packaging, just the knife box directly in my hands. That's why you see me cutting straight into it, right from the source. And yes, for those who are wondering, I ordered it through Amazon. Now, this is not a high-dollar collector's piece. It's actually a very affordable knife, designed to be practical and utilitarian. We're talking about the Vosteed Mini PSYOP, and as you can see right there, this particular version comes in satin-finished Elmax steel. Let's check what's inside the box. As expected, we've got the maintenance card printed both in English and Spanish, so anyone who buys one can follow the care instructions easily. The card also includes all the customer support contacts you might need. Then we get a presentation card, which also doubles as the warranty information 30 days. Full refund guaranteed if for any reason you're not satisfied with the knife. Pretty reassuring. There's also a sticker included, and interestingly, a set of replacement springs. These are for the lock mechanism, since the Mini PSYOP uses a crossbar lock system, something that's becoming increasingly popular among EDC designs for its strength and ambidextrous action. Alright, let's see what else comes in the box. As usual, Vosteed includes a microfiber cleaning cloth, which is always a nice touch. Then we've got the nylon pouch, and on the front there's their logo stitched onto a little leather-like patch. It's a horse emblem. Cool detail. But let's get to the important part, the knife itself. First impressions, right out of the pouch, this is a lightweight piece. In hand, it feels extremely portable, easy to carry, something you could slip into a pocket and forget about until you need it. The handle material here is blue micarta. Let's double check with the box. Yes, it clearly states micarta on the side, and that texture immediately stands out. Now, what do I feel right away? Well, this is a small knife, and as with many compact designs, there are a few spots where the edges aren't as rounded as they could be. Some corners come off a bit sharp, not enough to cut or hurt your hand. Nothing dramatic, but you do notice those hard right angles when you grip it tightly. A little detail that could cause minor discomfort if you're sensitive to ergonomics. On the positive side, the pocket clip doesn't get in the way at all when the knife is closed. In hand, it stays out of the way and feels comfortable. So, at least from the closed position, the clip isn't causing any hot spots. So, here's the thing. Part of that slight discomfort I mentioned earlier probably comes down to the thinness of the blade stock combined with the fact that the spine isn't rounded. Instead, it's squared off with straight angles. When you close your hand around the knife, those right angles can feel a bit sharp, not dangerously so, but definitely noticeable. And that's really the point. It's just the character of this knife. The Mini PSYOP isn't trying to win awards for closed-hand ergonomics. That's not what it was designed for. It's compact, slim, practical, and in this case, that means some edges aren't softened. Not a flaw, just part of its personality. Now, let's talk about the action. The crossbar lock here works beautifully. For those unfamiliar, the system became famous through the American brand Benchmade, who popularized it under the name Axis Lock. Technically, crossbar lock is the generic term, and that's what we've got here. Deployment is smooth and reliable, and the drop shut action is impressive. The blade falls shut effortlessly, no need for wrist flicks or extra force, it just glides down. The detent is tuned so that right around this point in the close, you feel a tiny bit of resistance, almost like a steel ball bearing inside, pressing against the spring tension. That's the crossbar system doing its job. After that slight hesitation, the blade snaps the rest of the way closed. Very refined. And yeah, only when the blade reaches that final point does it just close by itself. That's exactly the kind of safety behavior you want in a folder. The mechanism is designed to stop the blade short so your fingers don't get in the way, and then when it passes that threshold, it completes the motion and seats fully. It's a small but crucial safety feature because it lets you control the close and avoid horrible accidents. Some knives have almost no dead stop at all, They're what people call drop-shut designs. That means the blade basically falls shut under its own weight without any meaningful detent to hold it back. When that's the case, and if the blade is heavy, the knife can close with a lot of force, almost like a tiny guillotine. That's when things become dangerous. If your finger happens to be in the path, a heavy blade with little detent can do real damage. So, a well-tuned detent matters. The detent is that small resistance you feel before the blade releases, completely often created by a ball, a pin, or a small geometry in the mechanism pressing against the blade tang. It gives you a predictable hold point so the blade doesn't slam closed unexpectedly. In some designs, you'll find the detent set very early, meaning the blade will sit loosely and then suddenly fall. In others, it's more assertive, holding the blade securely until intentional action releases it. I've seen knives with very heavy blades and weak detents that behave like a guillotine when they close, and believe me, if that catches the tip of your finger, you're in trouble. That's why the balance between detent strength, spring, or lock mechanism, tension, and blade weight is so important. It determines how safe and predictable the close will be in real life. And of course, if you're not careful, even a small lapse can cost you a bit of fingertip. That's the reality of folding knives with strong action. You always have to respect them. That said, I'd give this knife a very solid score overall. The feel of the lock bar is excellent, it's smooth, probably one of the smoothest I've experienced on a crossbar style mechanism. It's very easy to disengage, almost effortless. The action itself is crisp and responsive, with the detent tuned just right. A slight amount of pressure is all it takes to send the blade flying out at speed. And if you really flick it, the deployment feels practically instantaneous. Now, deployment can be done using the studs for a traditional thumb flick, but because this is a crossbar lock knife, you can also pull back on the lock and give a quick wrist motion, and the blade swings open easily. That's part of the charm of this lock type. Multiple ways to open, all smooth and reliable. As for the steel, this knife is built with Elmax. You can see it marked right there. Elmax is interesting. It sits somewhere in between premium and mid-tier. It's not as high-performing as steels like M390, Magna Cut, or the more exotic M398, but it's still very respectable. Elmax offers good corrosion resistance, it's easy to sharpen, and edge retention that I'd call solidly upper mid-range. In other words, it's a steel you can rely on for regular EDC, use practical, dependable, and balanced without pushing into the ultra-premium category. Now, let's be honest. I'm not a huge fan of the overall design and ergonomics here. The geometry of the knife is pretty straightforward drop-point blade paired with a handle that's almost a plain rectangle. Sure, it looks clean, it looks cool in its own way, but in hand, the feel isn't as refined as I'd like. Down near the base of the blade, you'll notice a shallow cutout, sometimes referred to as a sharpening choil. But to be clear, this is not a finger choil. You can't choke up or use it for leverage, it's simply there to mark the end of the sharpened edge and keep you from grinding into the handle during sharpening. Functional, yes, but not an ergonomic feature. As for the grip, it depends on your hand size. With average hands, all 4 fingers fit just fine. If your hands are larger or if you're wearing gloves, the pinky will likely hang off the end, leaving you with less control. That's because this is, at the end of the day, a compact pocket knife. It's not built for extended, heavy-duty cutting sessions. Something that really surprised me is the absence of jimping on the spine. On a knife like this, jimping would have added a lot of control. Without it, the balance feels a little blade-heavy. The knife tends to nosedive forward, what we call being head-heavy. If you nudge the balance point just slightly back, you feel the blade wanting to tip forward. That imbalance isn't dramatic, but in the hand, it's noticeable. And without jimping, your thumb doesn't have that textured anchor point to lock in. When cutting harder materials, that slip risk becomes real. So ergonomically, this one misses the mark for me. It looks nice, but it doesn't feel as secure or confidence-inspiring as I'd want from an EDC. Now, moving to the hardware. The pocket clip is very reminiscent of a Benchmade style clip, almost identical in profile. It's attached with 2 small Torx screws, probably T6, directly into the Micarta scales. At the back, you'll see a backspacer, which appears to be aluminum. Definitely not titanium, and I'd even say probably not steel either. It feels like a lightweight alloy choice. The backspacer definitely feels like aluminum lightweight, slightly hollow in sound and feel, not as dense or solid as steel would be. Inside, of course, we've got the liners, but here they're set within the Micarta scales. That means the Micarta has been precision milled with recesses, so the liners sit flush inside. On some knives, you'll see the steel liners clearly exposed along the spine or the inner frame. Not here. With the Mini PSYOP, the liners are hidden inside the scales, giving the knife a much cleaner look and a sleeker profile overall. It's a nice touch and shows careful machining. Now, let's talk about the handle material itself. Micarta. For those unfamiliar, micarta is similar to G10 and is one of the most common materials used in modern knife making. It's extremely durable, heat-resistant, water-resistant, and offers excellent grip. In fact, the tactile feel almost reminds you of denim like blue jeans. And, fittingly, this particular version has a denim blue finish, which matches that description perfectly. The natural, untreated color of micarta is usually closer to a yellowish tan, sometimes compared to giraffe tones. But one of the strengths of micarta is how easy it is to dye, texture, and finish in a variety of colors. That's why you see it in so many different looks across the knife world. It's versatile, tough, and functional while also being easy to customize for style. So in this knife, the micarta scales not only add grip and comfort, but also keep the weight down, protect the liners, and give the Mini PSYOP its signature denim personality. What else do we have here? Let's take a closer look at the pivot. This one appears to be a Torx 8, and from what I can tell, it's a one-sided setup. Female screw on one side, male Torx 8 on the other. The blade centering straight from the factory looks perfect, dead on in the middle. That's always a good sign of proper assembly and tight tolerances. Moving down, you'll find 3 or 4 smaller screws, probably Torx 6 or even Torx 5. They're very tiny, and those are the ones you'd remove to take off the micarta scales for a full internal cleaning. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of such small screws. They tend to be delicate, and if you apply too much torque, you can easily strip them. Definitely something to approach carefully with the right tools. Not a deal breaker, but worth keeping in mind. At the end of the day though, remember what this is: the Vosteed Mini PSYOP. It's designed as a straightforward, practical, everyday carry knife. It's not a luxury piece, it's a utility tool meant to ride in your pocket and be ready whenever you need it. So, quick correction here. At first I believed Vosteed was American, but no, this is actually a Chinese brand, and this particular model, the Mini PSYOP, was designed by Geoff Blauvelt, a name you may know. I originally thought it sounded French or Belgian, but either way, the important thing is that while the design work comes from international talent, the actual production is done in China, at Vosteed's facilities. Now for some final thoughts. If you like the design, the overall look, and especially the lightweight size, this knife delivers exactly what you see. Keep in mind, it's a compact tool with no jimping, so it's not built for hard, all-day cutting. But for opening letters, breaking down boxes, cutting rope, or cord, basically all the everyday tasks of an EDC utility knife, this is more than enough. Also worth noting, this Mini isn't alone. There's a larger version of the PSYOP as well, the Big Brother, which I also have in my collection and will be featuring in a future video. And, just recently, Vosteed released an intermediate version, sized right between the Mini and the large. That model is called the PSYOP 299, and I'll be showing it here on the channel very soon. So that's it for today, friends. Just an unboxing and some first impressions, but I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. From me and all my monsters here at Philomania, wishing you a great week ahead, and I look forward to seeing you very soon in another chapter. Until then, take care, and ciao.